All right, Andrew, welcome to Renna's Corner Conversations. I wanted to have you on because Renna recently started swim lessons with your organization. And I just want to start with you kind of introducing who you are, just a little bit of information about the swim school, and then we'll talk a little bit more about why it's so important for families like ours that have kids with either a genetic disability, autism, or any kid. So I'll let you share a little.
Right, absolutely. No, and I'm super excited to join you. So my name's Andrew Wieder. I'm the franchise owner for British Swim School Lehigh Valley. Started British Swim School Lehigh Valley right about a year and a half ago. We have about almost 50 years of experience when it comes to swim lessons and swim instruction. We are a franchise with about 550 locations across the country. We have some up in Canada. Um, and for me personally, I was born and raised in Bethlehem, lived the majority of my life in the Lehigh Valley. Was away for a couple of years, but moved back to the area and really knew this is where I wanted to be. I family here, friends here, love the entire area, and it's been really cool to see how much the area has grown as well. So was looking at opportunities and I myself had a near drowning experience when I was younger. Super fortunate that it didn't have any really negative repercussions from a physical perspective, from a mental perspective, but it just really resonated with me to say, hey, swim lessons are a necessary life skill for folks of frankly all ages and all skill levels. So, was super fortunate, like I said, to get connected with the folks at British Swim School. It's been an incredible relationship. It's been a lot of fun. It's been some long nights and some long days, but any business is. But really, again, meeting the families we've met, meeting the students we've met, and seeing their progress, I wouldn't trade it for anything.
Yeah. So you said Lehigh Valley. So obviously we live in the Lehigh Valley area. What locations do you have?
That's a great question with British Swim School because we operate. I like to say from a swim instruction side, we operate a little bit differently, and then from a location operational side, we operate a little differently. So we actually work with existing pool partners throughout the area to utilize their space because frankly, pools aren't cheap. Anyone that owns a pool owns a hot tub. This is going to resonate. They're not cheap, but what we actually can do is we work with when you think of gyms, hotels, retirement communities, really anywhere that has a pool and keeps it to a certain standard that we expect for our students and all of our families. We work with them. So right now we're at the LA Fitness in Allentown, just off 22. We're at the Holiday Inn Express in Bethlehem, right in like the Hellertown area off 78. And I can't say it just yet, but we are looking at opening a third location within the Bethlehem Easton area, hopefully in the next 2 months or so. So I can't give any spoilers right now, but it is something where that operational model really allows us to meet families where they are. That's a big thing for families is you don't want to have to drive 40 minutes to have a 30-minute quality instruction to drive 40 minutes home. Parents and families are busy enough where if we can really bring the pool to them and bring that instruction just closer to them, that's really our goal. So when we get to when we really grow to the level I know we can through the area, we want to have enough locations that we're about 10 to 15 minutes away from the majority of the Lehigh Valley.
Yeah, that would be amazing. We do drive a little further, but we're kind of like out in more of a wooded area. So no matter where we go, it's usually 30, 40 minutes. So it's totally fine. That's just our life. But so yeah, the one reason we were super excited to learn about you and we actually learned about you through Renna's ABA therapist. And okay, so Renna loves water, loves it. Like, there are certain things she loves, music, water, lights, but water is huge. We used to take her to, well, we still do, but it's winter right now. Um, During the summer, we take her to the splash pad and that motivated her to want to learn to walk. I used to bring her gait trainer in there and she'd be rolling around walking up to kids. And then one day she was like, I do not want to be walking in this. I want to be doing what everyone else is doing. And we had to take her out of it, and she just walked right into the splash pad, and she's never been in it since. But she is so drawn to water, and she has a genetic condition. It's called Pitt-Hopkins syndrome, and that is like one characteristic that most of the kids with Pitt-Hopkins have. Like they love water. And as I'm learning more about this different world that I live, disabilities, autism, things like that, I'm finding that kids like Renna do like water. And I Renna doesn't speak with words, so we're not really sure. Does she understand that she's in danger when she does certain things? I don't know. So I don't know that I would ever trust her to be around water. Like splash pad, okay, that's fine. But like she was at a birthday party and they had this little baby pool. It was like a deeper baby pool, but so it was baby pool. She went to go in, I let her in. She slipped because she could stand in it. She slipped and she could not get out of the water. But it literally, like it came up to my knee. Like in my head, she should be able to just stand up, but she couldn't. And I like jump in with all my clothes on and I grab her up. And I was like, oh my word, I did not expect that. And so it just made me think she really needs swim lessons. And I didn't even realize that there were like, and maybe you call it something different, but I didn't realize there were like adaptable swim lessons for kids like Renna. I didn't realize how important it would be to start with a safety perspective. Like I grew up having a pool, we had swim lessons, we learned how to swim, we got better at swimming. We swam all the time. We swam when our parents weren't home. Like to me, I'm like, what's the big deal? You learn how to swim, you swim, and you're fine. But that is not Rena's reality at all. So when her therapist told me about British Swim School and some of the things you offered, I was like, I need to find out more about this. And I was kind of like, I don't even care what it costs. Like this is super important. It could cost her life if I don't do this, you know? So can you share a little bit more like from your perspective? Because I don't really know statistics. I don't really know any of like those things. And I know what we're doing in our classes, but I can't actually explain it very well. So if you can kind of just talk about those things, I think that would be really helpful.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think too, I was, as you were saying all that, a lot of it resonates, and frankly, it resonates across the spectrum. It resonates for those students of ours that do have developmental differences, but it also resonates for those neurotypical, our students that do come through the doors. And for us, it's really, drowning is one of the leading causes of accidental death in kids under the age of 5. It actually is the leading cause of accidental death in kids between the ages of 1 and 4. So, when we think about safety, and we were at a presentation, obviously continually trying to learn a few months ago, and it's, we protect our kids in car seats every single day, but for toddlers, drowning is actually a higher risk of accidental death. And it's sort of that mindset shift of, well, we used to just throw our kids in the water and they learn how to swim. And listen, that worked for some kids, but a lot of other kids, it didn't and never did. And then frankly leads to a fear of water. So, and then on top of that, really children with those developmental differences are at a much higher risk of drowning. And a big reason for that is kind of what you mentioned is water is comforting. It's a sensory thing where the fear regulation necessarily isn't there. So that's something we run into with a lot of our students is it's kind of two paths. We have the student that's been told, don't go near the water, it's dangerous. So they're like, well, now you want me to go with this instructor, Miss Alicia in the water. You've told me, Mom, you've told me from my 5 years of life never to do that. Or you get the 5-year-old that's like, nope, we're jumping right in. So it's that fear aspect does play a role, and that's why in our water acclimation classes, it's really about no tears, no fears. So getting them acclimated to the water, getting them comfortable with those feelings, and again, how that looks for folks is different across that spectrum. So our number one goal for our introductory lessons are really that water safety aspect, how to get in and out of a pool safely. That's something that's overlooked a lot. Um, we don't allow goggles for the majority of our classes. Again, another safety item. It's right about 80% of drowning incidents occur when you're not expecting to swim for kids. So why are we going to help them with those goggles? We really want them to be comfortable in that scenario that they know what to do. So that's why we don't use really flotation devices. We don't use goggles. But really, to answer your question, one of the number one things we want to work with our students on immediately is to learn how to float on your back.
Mm-hmm.
And that's it doesn't matter if you are you know, a Navy swimmer for decades. If you get tired in the water, the number one thing you want to do is roll on your back, conserve your energy, still understand your surroundings and how to get where you're going, and then to be able to roll back over. So, like I said, that's really across all of our introductory classes. But it's then also how do we adapt that to those classes, or excuse me, to be as adaptive as possible. But really, again, that's the number one goal, and for us, that is what separates British Swim School. Is the sense of safety. It's in everything we do, every single step of the way, from how our instructors are trained to the curriculum that we have. It's really water safety focused.
Yeah, no, I love that because it, it's very interesting. I didn't know this, but my mom told me my sister jumped into our grandparents' pool when we were little, and she didn't expect it. She didn't know it, and she had to jump
Yep.
in after her. But she didn't, maybe she told me in the past, but I never realized that until Renna started taking swim lessons. Because then she's like, "Oh yeah, your sister jumped
It's
in and nobody even knew it. We heard a splash."
and again, I grew up with my aunt and uncle had a pool, had a big deck, that couldn't, there was some trees in the way, you couldn't necessarily see the pool. Same sort of thing. My uncle was fleet of foot enough to jump in after, but one of my cousins just jumped into the pool and like no, couldn't swim, jumped into the 10-foot deep end. And my uncle, who a little bit of a bigger guy, moved quicker than I've ever seen him move, and jumped in. And I think that's where it can happen so quickly. And I think that's one of there's so many stats. And again, I don't want to sit here and have it be, sort of just reading off stats, but I mean, drownings can happen for toddlers in as little as an inch or two of water. And that kind of goes back to your story that you mentioned at the beginning. It can happen in that shallow of water. It can happen as quickly as 30 seconds for kids. And it's silent. It's not like the movies where kids are splashing all over the place and yelling, because a lot of times they're actually face down, which then is going to drag them down further and keep their face in the water. So it's sort of getting over some of those misunderstandings and misconceptions, because frankly, and especially with British Swim School and across the country for us, it's every age, every stage. We offer lessons for children as young as 3 months old, all the way up to adults. We have adaptive lessons for those with special abilities, and we have young adult lessons, because we've had 4 month olds come through our program, and we've had 77-year-olds come through our program. And it's just about how can we meet you where you are and be as inclusive as possible, because the water can be amazing, but it also can be deadly. And I think that's where, finding that balance and being sure that everyone's as safe as possible, that's the biggest thing for us.
Yeah, yeah, that's amazing. Um, so I don't know if you heard details about Renna's first lesson, but it went way better than I thought. So she had taken, well, she had been in aquatic therapy, probably from about age two. mm, she was somewhere around two.
Okay.
And she had it once a week, basically until she was five. And then she wasn't able to use the toilet, so she couldn't continue on. And now she's using the toilet. So she's doing really good. She still has accidents. But um, I did consider, well, should we just go back? But that's different. That is totally different. That is PT in the water. That is not teaching her how to swim. That's not teaching her safety. But she, again, loves the water and she was familiar with a pool because of therapy. So that part I think really helped her. But I never expected her on her first lesson to basically stand on the edge of the pool and jump into the water and go under and come up without swallowing water. Like that whole thing. I was like, oh, and I recorded it and I just could not believe that basically by the end of her 30-minute session, her first 30-minute session, she was able to jump in, go under, hold her breath, and come up. That was just like, I cannot believe that. So, in a way, I feel like she had a little bit of an advantage because of that aquatic therapy, but it was just amazing. What do you guys do when there is a kid who's not like Renna, who maybe is scared, like you talked about, or just is not comfortable? Like Renna loves everyone. So even if she didn't know her swim instructor, she would have been like, "Hey, want to be best friends?" So she's fine with different people. She like everything is fine with her to begin with, but what happens when the kids aren't like her?
Yeah, it's a great question. And I think too that, it's a great question because progress looks different for everyone. And we absolutely get parents that are concerned about a lack of progress, or frankly, again, to kind of your point, parents that are like, holy cow, I never thought our son, daughter would be able to do that within this short of time. And the number one question we get when someone calls and we're chatting with them about getting signed up for swim lessons, the number one question we get is, well, how quickly will they be able to do this? Or how quickly will they graduate? And, for us, it's really, again, progress looks different for everyone. So if we get a student that's just super nervous and scared of the water, our goal for that first lesson isn't going to be, hey, we have to get them in the water and gentle submersion, I'll do a gentle submersion right away and get them all the way under the water. Our goal for our instructors might be, hey, let's get them active. Let's get them understanding that we're having fun here. Let them see some of the other students that maybe are progressing a little bit further, or they might do skills that the other student hasn't done yet. So it's all about progress, and it's every lesson is building on that progress. So for British Swim School, we have 5 skills that we associate with each level. Once those skills are met competently and confidently, we then move our students up to the next level. But even within each of those skills, there's going to be progress to be made. So, for example, with Renna, jumping in and fully submerging herself, that's a huge step. That's a huge, okay, that's a check for that skill. But we have some students that might hold a hand, or they might hold 2 hands and only go up to their chin. That's still progress. And I think that's what, a lot of parents, need to realize that progress looks different across the board for everyone. And it's really up to our instructors and our team to be able to say, to know when to push, to know when to kind of maybe take a step back and understand that underlying fear, anxiety, whatever it may be. But again, even crying, one of the things we get, from certain students, if they're younger, or maybe they're just really that scared, is crying. And you'll see sometimes the parents are really, understandably, upset or worried. And when I go up to talk to them, a lot of times it's not even like, oh my gosh, I'm scared for them. It's, you know, are they bothering someone? Or is it too loud? Or is it this or that? And it's like, no, every other parent is thinking the same thing. And we're all there to make that progress as much as we can in each lesson. And I think that's really the biggest thing we try to, we do have smaller group sizes, smaller instructor to swimmer ratios. Working in our pool partners, naturally, we are going to have smaller class sizes, less class size, less classes at a time. So it lends itself to more of that intimate feel as well, which is a good and bad thing. Sometimes parents can be, hey, little Andrew, stop making noise. Well, it's okay. They're having fun. Our instructors are making sure they're within the bounds of kind of what we're looking for. But um, I think overall, it's just really about progress, and it's just about taking that progress and understanding that crying doesn't necessarily mean they're scared. It means they're trying something new and they're learning how to get through that. So it's how can we adapt the lessons and keep making sure that in each lesson there's progress, and then in each week there's progress, and then that's how you stack that up and you get to where I've gotten. I would say honestly the best part about starting this in the area is the emails I get and the reviews we get online of people saying, hey, British Swim School, and it's our instructors, it's our amazing staff, our amazing team that help these students learn how to swim, learn how to be safe around water. And for some of them, it's, hey, they're comfortable in the deep end now, and the parents are comfortable now. Always adult supervision, all of those sorts of things. Being safe around the water isn't just swim lessons; it's everything that goes around that. It's a lot of layers, but understanding that they're excited as a student and they're comfortable in the water brings that comfort to the families. And like I said, it's a huge, it puts a smile on my face every time I get an email like that. It's, I'm excited to text our team to tell them in person the stories, we hear from our families.
Yeah, yeah, that's great. We are coming down to our last 5 minutes, so I just want to add something and then talk about how people can get more information. Um, but we did decide to go with that um, 1-to-1 ratio, so it's just Renna and the instructor. We thought that was super important with her. Again, she loves everybody, so for her not to have all those distractions is really beneficial. And I did ask our instructor, I said, do parents get nervous? Because she would bring Renna under the water and sometimes she would like inhale some water. And I'm not really a fearful, nervous sort of parent, but I'm like, okay, she's fine. She's fine. She knows what she's doing. It's fine. But anyway, so yeah, I thought it was funny that I'm like, I bet some parents get really like worried about this, but I think it goes back to like your instructors know what they're doing and they're either going to push a little bit when they know they can or they're going to pull back. And I have seen that. So that's amazing. Um, One thing I've been sharing about Rena's lessons and I've been getting some questions and the one thing that people are asking is, how do I find out more information? And then I've been telling them that there's a referral program. I think it's like Rena gets a discount, they get a discount, something like that. Which is great, but because you own Lehigh Valley, we have families that follow our journey from all over the world, really. Is there a way? Okay, so how do people find out more? And then is there a way for people to reach out to their local British swim school and potentially get that referral bonus as well?
Yeah, absolutely. And great question. So for the first part, for us locally, britishswimschool.com/Lehigh Valley is a great place to start. You can also follow us on social, search us on Google. BSSLV is our tag for most of our socials. So that's a great way to follow us and great way to see, like I said, the progress that our little kids make. Because that's the best part about it is, not everyone no, excuse me, wants to necessarily hear from me talking about everything. They want to see kids progress. They want to see students in the water and having fun, and our instructors having fun. Because, like I said, that's really it's about those skills, but it's also about having fun while you're doing it in a gentle way. BritishSwimSchool.com is a great place. You can just go to BritishSwimSchool.com. Right on the main page, you can actually go ahead and search your zip code to see if there's a British Swim School near you. Like I said, we're growing at an incredible rate because again, it's necessary. It's a necessary life skill, and I think a lot of people are realizing that as well. So you can absolutely go on, search, see where you're at. But you can always just search Google as well. Majority of our franchisees will pop up right there for you. In terms of referral code, for us, Lehigh Valley, obviously, we would absolutely love to honor that. It is one of those things, we'd have to talk with each franchisee and kind of see. But the biggest thing for us is making British Swim School as inclusive and as welcoming as possible. So while that could vary location to location, it's something that, if we put great families in touch with our great franchisees, I'm sure we can figure something out.
Yeah, yeah. Um, is there, we have 2 minutes. Is there anything else you want to leave our listeners, followers? I will put those links in the notes on YouTube, but anything else?
Yeah, I think the biggest thing is no matter where you're at in your journey with swim lessons, if they've never had them, to if they're in them and they're unhappy, to if they've had them and that was years ago. I think it's just again just that progress. Just always be safe around water. If there's water, if you're unsure of the depth, if you're unsure, always wear a life jacket when you're on the water. Always have adult supervision when there's water around. It's the number one cause of accidental death in kids between the ages of 1 and 4, and I think that just we really need to realize that there's a lot we can do to help with that. Structured swim lessons actually reduce that risk in young children by about 88%. So
Oh,
those two things combined, it's every child can be safer in the water. That path just looks different. So um, enjoy the journey. Understand there's gonna be some challenging parts during that, but um, get your little ones into structured swim lessons. Make sure they're comfortable. It's a life skill. Some of our students take our safety course and they're done. Others use it, as a way to swim and exercise and all the other benefits that come from water. So that's really what I would wrap with.
yeah. Well, thank you for joining us. And yeah, I hope everyone gets the opportunity to learn more, reach out, and get their kids in the swim lesson program because it's amazing. Thank you.
Awesome. Thanks, Brenda.